Hi, so today we'll be repairing a Steam controller with a partial short circuit on its motherboard. So the problem with this device is once it turns on, it drains the battery very quickly, and if its vibrate feature kicks in too hard, it causes the controller to turn off. To disassemble the controller, we're going to start by removing the 4 screws in its arms. These screws are the same size, so you don't need to keep them separate, but it's a good habit to follow. In case there are screws that are larger, you want to make sure they go back in the same spot they came out from. Now, after you take those screws out, there are 3 more screws under the sticker on the back. Now, I recommend using rubbing alcohol and a thin metal spudger to get underneath the sticker. It makes it easier to take the sticker off intact, and it also keeps its adhesive intact. Now, 1 screw is larger than the rest amongst these 3 screws under the sticker, and it's actually larger than the rest of the screws in the outside housing. You need to separate the clamshell carefully because the arms holding the battery are going to fall out if you're not too careful. Since the arms only go in one way, if they do happen to fall out, it's not that much of a problem to pop them back in. The next step is to get the motherboard out of its housing. It's being held in with these 4 screws that I've highlighted on screen. There are more in there, but you don't need to remove all of them. You need to watch out for the 2 flex cables that connect the track pads in the front to the motherboard. Now take care not to turn the controller right side up because all its buttons are going to fall out.
Exactly. Sure. All right. Yep. No problem. We'll see whenever. All right.
Fortunately, putting the 7 buttons back isn't too much of a hassle, especially because I had another controller to compare it to. It made the process significantly easier. Power supply chips usually have coils around them, so to diagnose faults, I like to measure the coils around power supplies in diode mode. And here you can see that the partially short-circuited power supply chip has a very low diode mode reading. When I compare the same coil on my known working motherboard, the diode mode reading is significantly higher, which indicates that my board has a fault. The diode mode reading on our known good board is 0.442, and the diode mode reading on our not working board, the partially short-circuited board, is 0.077. In order to confirm that our diagnosis is correct, we're going to inject 3 volts into that coil because that's the operating voltage for that line. And there is an immediate current draw, and the power supply chip lights up like a Christmas tree under the thermal camera. That all but confirms the diagnosis that that chip has failed and will need to be replaced. I was quite lucky in finding a replacement for this chip. A Google search led me to this Steam forum post where this guy had modded his Steam controller to accept rechargeable batteries. And that post led me to the power supply chip used in the Steam controller. I was able to order the chip from DigiKey, and it arrived in a few days. Desoldering the chip and soldering the replacement on is a fairly straightforward process as long as you follow the basics. Since it had been a few days, I measured the board again and confirmed that I'm working with a board that is short circuit. And then to actually replace this chip, we start by first applying some flux to it. The flux aids in the desoldering process as it helps keep oxidation away from the solder pads. I apply some heat with my hot air station. It's about 370 Celsius at 60 airflow. It is plenty, but it makes the chip come off very quickly. Once the chip is off, tin the pads on the chip with some leaded solder. The leaded solder melts at a lower temperature and makes for a safer installation of the new chip. After taking the chip off, I measure the same line again in diode mode and confirm that the short circuit has been cleared and the board is now ready for the new chip. Hooray! Installing the new chip is a fairly straightforward process. Since we'd already tinned the pads on the board with leaded solder, we apply some flux and then take care to position the chip with its dot in the correct orientation and apply some hot air to the board. Surface tension should snap the chip right into place. Once you're done soldering, it is super important to clean the board of any flux and soldering residue. With the new chip installed on the board, this is the moment of truth. Let's measure the board and see if the short circuit has been relieved. And look at that. With the new chip on, the board is fixed. The diode mode reading matches our known good board, and the controller should now work normally. Hooray! The best way to find out if something is actually working is to turn it on and see if it works. So I connect the controller to my DC power supply with some alligator clips, and I prompt it to boot with a pair of tweezers. And as you can see, the controller turns on, and its live power draw is very respectable. It's about 20 milliamps when the LED is flashing. So excellent. That matches my known working board. So I'm happy to report that the controller short circuit repair was a success. Reassembling the controller is a pretty straightforward process. You just have to follow the disassembly steps in reverse. With the controller reassembled, let's pop a couple of AA batteries in place, and then we'll test to see if it works. All right, the Steam controller repair was a success. Thanks for watching.